So it looks like it's all there for Rangers. It just depends on what they can sell to Gerrard if he wants to buy into it and wants to stake his reputation on it. Because as I say, it's a big next choice for him is a big one. So I understand why he's taking his time over it.
The next one for him is either the springboard or the anchor, isn't it?
Well, exactly. His name opens doors in the past, but unfortunately, after 2 or 3 failed gigs, the calls stop coming in. That's just the nature of the business. So I think Rangers need a heavy hitter. They need somebody walking that dressing room, a bit of presence, a born winner, somebody who will demand change overnight. No projects, no processes, no philosophies, none of this nonsense, none of this jargon. They need somebody who's a proven manager who can come in with a bit of clout. The times aren't aligned, but something like a few months ago, I remember when Clement was up against the wall and there was talk about the guys like something like Davy Moyes, something like that, a heavy hitter that can come in and command the entire club and drag it up by its bootstraps. But these guys are not easy to get and persuade to take on jobs. So it's a difficult one for them. But Gerrard, I think, fits that bill, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think also the same rule applies. I've said previously about Derek McInnes looking at this season, putting a big red circle just round this particular season. He's ended up at the right place at the right time when Rangers have got themselves into an absolute crisis and things aren't particularly great at Celtic. This season, there is a window of opportunity for Hearts, for Derek McInnes, but also for whoever steps into this Rangers job right now. Because, they're not in a great shape, but they're not dead in the title race. Celtic don't have the problems to seek right now. It might be a great time to take this job. Certainly a couple of wins. You would be taking over a team that's in 8th position. You would imagine if he's a competent manager in any way, shape or form, he'll take them up right through the league in a very short space of time in terms of positionally. But then over the longer term of this campaign itself, there's an opportunity because this is as weak as Celtic have allowed themselves to become for a very long time.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of upside. I mean, for all the mistakes I've made with the Rangers owners since they come in, they've still got. I still think they've got good intentions and they've got financial clout. So it's a much more stable environment than even a year ago when Clement's getting his wage bill cut at the start of the season, having had a decent run at first and then having to slash his costs. So it's a different environment. So it's all upside, really. If any manager with a half decent boss with a bit of clout and a bit of nous, I think they can do a decent job there. There's no reason why you can't compete, at least give it a go in the league and pick up a trophy or two. There's no reason why that someone can't come and do that. What the downside is that I think that there's again, a bit like Celtic to a great extent, there's gaps in that squad at Rangers and some deficiencies in that squad.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll need to work wonders in the short term. But if I give a guy a couple of windows and make a fist of it, they should have enough to get through a lot of Scottish football in terms of getting back up the league and competing at the top end. But there's plenty of upsides to the gig. Plenty of upsides.
I'm aware, guys, that our time is basically up, but we've had so many comments, Keith, that I thought I'd run through a couple more if that's okay with you. Another minute or two. A lot of them on Derek McInnes. It has to be said, the commenters aren't convinced that he'd leave Hearts to go to Rangers. Badger says McInnes is going nowhere. He has a shot at a title as a manager. Think he'll show the loyalty as Bloom has shown him. Look how they got Shankland to stay. Tom Gill points out if McInnes goes to Rangers and wins the league, who cares? If he stays at Hearts and wins the league, he'll be immortal. AGSC Tech says McInnes is mad. If he joins Rangers, it'll take 4 or 5 windows to fix them. And he doesn't have Tony Bloom's brain power at Ibrox either. And just a couple on Thelwell and Stewart. Luke says he wouldn't trust him to run a bath. And and Rangers Is He Okay says, if I was Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell, I'd be updating my CV on Indeed right now.
Yeah. Well, look, I agree with a lot of these comments about Derek McInnes. I don't think it's just as much of a home run slam dunk that a lot of the Americans might expect it to be, because there would be a lot for him to consider. This is, as I keep coming back to, this particular season And the comment's right there. You know, if you think that you can lead Hearts to a title, my God, what an achievement! I mean, what are you looking at there on the scale of, you know, incredible managerial achievements in the history of Scottish football? That would have to be right up there.
Aye,
So
right
so
at the top.
that would have to be factored into anyone's decision. But I keep coming back to it.
Yeah, but there's, Keith,
If
there's
Kev-
seven,
if Kevin-
there's 7 games into a season, and Rangers, it's Rangers, and they could treble your salary. I mean, it's,
Yeah, I think Tony Bloom.
I mean, how much
I think
sleepless
Tony-
nights do you have over it? Do you mean?
I think Tony Bloom would be in a position to push out the door for him financially, Mick, if that was a factor. And of course, it's a factor. Everybody, you're professional for a reason. You're there to do a job and get rewarded for it financially. So yes, that is a factor. I totally agree, and it does look like a no-brainer. I'm just saying, I don't think Rangers should just necessarily assume that we'll just pick up the phone to wee Dale. He'll come.
No,
I'm
but
just not sure it's as simple as that.
they should certainly ask the question.
I think they should. 100% think they should, Mick. Yep. But I do remember how it went when Dave King managed to blow up the whole negotiation at the 11th hour when Derek McInnes was coming down from Aberdeen. He didn't like the look of him. He didn't like what he was being told. He spoke to Walter Smith for advice, and eventually, having sought the advice of Walter Smith, he walked away from the table. Now, if, for example, Derek McInnes was put into this process and felt similarly towards whoever it is, whether it's if, for example, I'm wrong and Kevin Thelwell comes through this and he's bomb-proof and he's still the guy that's going to be calling the shots in there, that's why I keep saying, I think if you're a credible manager, you're interviewing him, not the other way around. And I think that's another thing that would need to get factored into the conversation. If Kevin Thelwell remains, intact and in this position of authority, that's going to be a consideration for Derek McInnes or any other manager that's part of the process.